Boxing Ego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. 1. Terence Crawford, he climbing up them welterweight rankings. Stay tuned. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang, notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the super chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, and the Patreon family. We are working. Ooh, you good looking. Now, Terence Crawford, man, he's getting shown some love based on what he accomplished at 140. Listen, boxing, some things I don't understand in boxing, like rankings and how certain people get ranked over. Like the IBF, I looked at some of the, like how is Sean Porter not in the IBF rankings in the top 15, 20, but you got Konstantin Ponomarev ranked there. And Sean Porter is the former IBF champion with him. Like, it's, stuff like that doesn't make sense. But when it comes to Crawford, there's some people up in arms and like, what? How is Crawford ranked at welterweight? He doesn't even have any welterweight fights. You know what I mean? He was undisputed in his former division. So I could understand that. I could understand a sanctioning body saying, hey, he had not only my belt in his previous division, but he had everybody's belt. Every major belt Crawford had at 140. Now, the WBO was the first to kick this off. They rated Terence Crawford, Bud Crawford, at #1, making him the #1 contender mandatory for Jeff Horn, who's the WBO title. Now, in the latest WBA rankings, very interesting. #1, they have Tiwa Kiram, who's fighting Lucas Matisse this month. #2, Danny Garcia. 3, Lucas Martinez, or Matisse. And 4, you have Terence Crawford. And then 5, Jamal James, who I believe just stopped Diego Chavez. So they got Crawford in at #4, just behind those other big names. I mean, 2 of the 3 are real big names. And then the Lucas Matisse versus Kiram, they're fighting each other. So I believe when one person wins, that's going to eliminate another person from being top 3. So that's good that Golden Boy got that fight done, even though he's not a big name. Tiwa Kiram. I'm probably slaughtering his name, but you guys get what I'm saying. So he's in good company. He's just below the top 4, or excuse me, he's just below the top 3. But like I said, the #1 and 3 guys are fighting Matisse versus Kiram this month. So Crawford's climbing his way up. Next, I think Crawford would be the favorite to beat either Matisse, Garcia, or Kiram, right? Now, some of you guys like, get to the goddamn point, Ego. Let me explain. The thing I like is Keith Thurman is the WBA champion and the WBC champion. So Terence Crawford has already expressed interest in wanting to fight Keith one time, Thurman, right? And the way as it sits, and with Matisse and Kiram and Danny Garcia having an upcoming fight with Rios, Crawford has a definite chance to get up in there in the top 3 and maybe even clinch the #1 spot. And that's a fight I would love to see. And Terence Crawford more so than Keith Thurman has expressed an interest. I don't really know what Keith wants to do in terms of career-wise, but he got a lot of killers after him, like Errol Spence Jr. and also Terence Crawford. So I'm glad that they're showing Terence Crawford love. Again, some people are going to be mad because Crawford has no fights at the division. But listen, like I just said, Terence Crawford, if he were to face any of the top 3 guys rated with the WBA, from Danny Garcia to Lucas Matisse to Tiwa Kiram, I guarantee you Terence Crawford would be favored to beat all of them. Not saying he does beat him definitively. I would pick him. I definitely would pick him over Danny Garcia. I think he already beat Danny Garcia in the amateurs. You know what I mean? And Matisse, you know, I would favor it. I would favor that. You know what I mean? So, I mean, what are people really crying about? He's going to fight at welterweight. He's moving up. And see, the thing that I'm going to forever celebrate until I see a change in pattern is Terence Crawford. He could have, listen, Terence Crawford and Andre Ward, they're both cut from the same cloth. That throwback cloth that's discontinued, they no longer make. I'm going to explain why. Because when they ruled their division, their previous division, they could have stayed and milked it where they would have been the A side and they would have been clearly the favorite no matter who they fought, right? For example, you have some people at 140 now that Crawford could have stayed at 140 and milked it. Jose Ramirez is fighting Amir Imam, so he could fight the winner of that. Crawford would probably be the favorite over either of those guys. He could have stayed and fight the winner of Regis Progress versus Victor Postal. Let's say Progress wins. You know what I mean? He could fight him. But instead, he's like, let these guys build names for themselves. I'm going to save myself on the weight cut, and I'm moving up. So he's running towards the fire. And the reason I brought Andre Ward, same thing. Andre Ward at super middleweight, Super 6, beat Chad Dawson, beat Edwin Rodriguez. He was the man. But he had legal troubles that sidelined him, things like that. And he was out of the ring for a period of time to the point where new super middleweights had emerged. New stars in the division had emerged where he could have easily fought Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez. He could have fought James DeGale. He could have fought Badu Jack at the time because he hadn't moved to light heavyweight at the time. So he could have milked it and stayed there. But he didn't do that. He said, okay, the fans said I already cleaned out the division. Give me a couple fights and I'll fight Kovalev, which is exactly what he did. Not once, but twice. And he stopped him in the second fight. First fight at light heavyweight, he fought an undefeated Sullivan Barrera, who's now in a title shot with Dimitri Bivol. You know what I mean? So Crawford and Ward both cut from the same cloth. They're running towards the fire when other people run away. Like, oh shit, this division above me, you know what I mean, is dangerous. It's stacked. Maybe I should wait till some of those guys scrap and beat each other and stuff and then move up, but he's not doing that. I mean, even Jamal Charlo, I give him a lot of props too. He could have stayed at 54, and him and his brother could have tried to terrorize 54, but he was having some issue, making weight got harder and harder, so he moved to a division that's popping right now, that finally is popping. Triple G's there, Canelo's there, Billy Joe Saunders is there, Demetrius Andrade is there now, Daniel Jacobs is there, and that's what you're seeing with certain fighters who coincidentally never really get true love on ESPN pound for pound lists and stuff like that. Like Terence Crawford, ESPN refuses to put him #1, but they'll put Golovkin, who's staying at middleweight, they'll put him above Crawford or Vasily Lomachenko with a loss in 11 fights. You know what I mean? Yet Crawford, he's trying to get a title shot in his first welterweight scrap. You know what I mean? He's running towards that stacked division, similar to what Andre Ward did when he left super middleweight. He's running to a division full of killers at light heavyweight with the guys like Kovalev and bigger guys, better Bias and strong punchers. So salute to everybody like Crawford who are doing these things. I'm glad he got a generous ranking. Maybe the Keith Thurman fight could be a reality, like fight me or vacate type of thing in the near future if Crawford stays in his winning ways and just keeps shooting up that WBA list. He's already on Jeff Horn's ass. Pause. So let's see what happens. Shout out to Crawford. He was the man at 140. Let's see what he could do at welterweight. Make sure you smash the like button as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off.
This one's for Crawford. In your last outing, you called out Keith Thurman, and Keith Thurman is one of the bigger welterweights in the division. So what do you see? Is there anything beside the 2 belts that you see in Thurman that interests you?
He's the #1 guy in the welterweight division. So why take 1, 2, or 3, or 4 when I go to welterweight? I want the #1 guy at welterweight.
So you want to go for a title shot if you move up right away?
Right away.
Okay. What's your question?
So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.